Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'm very pleased today to be joined on the Business, Growth and Marketing Show with my good friend Ajay Dhunna. Ajay, welcome to SIKH Channel.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
And the reason why we've asked you to join us today on the Business, Growth and Marketing Program is because you're an expert, you're a digital marketing expert. So perhaps we could start with finding out a little bit about yourself. Can you please tell us about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I've been doing digital marketing for the best part of 20 years now, and started off as a website developer, and then after about 5 years moved into digital marketing. So that's pretty much what I've done all my life, helping businesses generate more leads, more sales, and ultimately more customers. My primary area of expertise is working with Google. So at our digital marketing agency, we do a lot of work with Google, Google Ads, and SEO and that type of thing, just to help raise the profile of a lot of businesses to help them ultimately grow.
Because Google has taken over the world, there's only really one search engine that we are all familiar with and use, and it's Google. Why is that?
That's right. You know, not only has it sort of taken over the world, but it's also now just a common terminology that people use, that, hey, have you Googled it? Right? So it's become such a common word now. And that's because when I started in the digital marketing sector, obviously Google wasn't around. There were search engines like Hotbot and Alta Vista, which nobody's ever heard of now. And then, you know, Yahoo came along, and Yahoo was the king for so many years. But literally overnight, Google came, and with a very simple screen, one bar, and it just took over it.
Why is that? Why was Google able to dominate so quickly and just completely take over?
Good question. So one of the core reasons why Google has been so successful in this is because they focus a lot on quality of the results that you get back. So what you find is that if you go to Google and type in something, and you go to another search engine and type something, you find that the results that you get from Google are very relevant to what you're searching. So it was the quality of the results that you're getting which users absolutely loved. And also what they did is that they didn't rely too much on advertising. So if you go to search engines like, say, Yahoo, you'll see a lot of advert slots there, a lot of news, a lot of weather, and the page is quite complicated. Whereas Google, it's just a simple page, and people love that. People love simplicity. They love simplicity and quality results, and the speed of the results that they get back. It's a win-win formula.
And we're trying to do that here at SIKH Channel. We try and learn from Google, and we try and keep our programming simple, and we employ simplicity in our production.
Absolutely.
And provide our audience with what they want from the SIKH Channel. And Google Ads, is that the same thing? Google, we know, is a search when you want to find something. What are Google Ads?
Okay, so with Google now, when somebody goes to a Google page, to them it looks like this one long big page, but it's actually broken down into several businesses. So you've got the Google Ads section, which is right at the top, and you get up to 4 slots there, and you'll see a little ad symbol there, like say AD, and that signifies that this is Google Ads. And Google Ads is whereby advertisers can get their business listed at the top of Google. So when somebody searches for them, their ad will appear at the top of Google. And if somebody clicks on the ad or telephones you right from the Google page, then they'll be taken to the website or the telephone call. But in return, you pay Google X amount of pence. Yeah. So that's what Google Ads is. So it's a way of paying Google to list your ads at the top of Google when somebody's searching for you. Whereas the results below Google Ads is that firstly you get the Google Maps, and you see the big map there, right? And that you can get there quite organically. And then below that you get the organic section, whereby you get lots of text linked ads, but it takes a long time to actually get there in the first place. There's so much more that I can go into detail about the Google page, but even though it looks simple, it's quite a complicated sort of page.
I'm sure it's very complex. And obviously to businesses, it's important to try and get towards the top so they can attract customers. And getting to that top of that page via Google Ads, is it just purely down to how much they pay? Is it purely down to paying Google more than others? Or is there also any element of quality in their service or offering or their website, or is it just down to whoever pays the most goes to the top?
Absolutely not, no. It's definitely not about who pays more. I mean, you know, by the time we finish this conversation, Google's already made multiple £1 million. So it's a very complicated company, and they know exactly what they're doing. So it's not going to be the case that just because you pay more, you get listed at the top. There's various factors that go into determining how or who gets listed at the top. Remember, there's only 4 ad slots at the top of the page, and there's 3 ad slots at the bottom of the page. So in total, you've got 7 slots, right? And that's for text-based ads. If you've got an e-commerce business, then you also got image-based ads as well, yeah? So, okay, so one of the factors, just one of the factors is what you pay. You can say to Google if somebody searches for my business, so if I'm a dentist, for example, I'm willing to pay X amount of pence or pounds in order for my business to be listed at the top. And you don't pay until someone searches for you, they've read what your ad, and they've clicked on your ad to visit your website, and they've called you here. So that's one of the metrics, that how much you pay. But the other metric is what you said, it's the quality. So Google uses something called a quality score, and the higher your quality score, the less you pay. So technically, you could be listed at a higher position than your competitors on the Google page by paying less, by simply focusing on the quality of your ads, the quality of your keywords. And Google does look at various factors. It doesn't only look at okay, so you're paying more and the quality score is good, but it's also going to look at other factors that, you know, that when your ads are shown on the Google page, how many of them are going to click your ad to go to your website, which will indicate the quality of the text that you're offering. Because ultimately, what Google wants is to provide users with a good user experience. And if you're providing your end users or your businesses with a good user experience, Google's going to reward you by you having to pay less to Google in order to be ranked at a higher position than your competitors.
So for smaller businesses, it seems there's quite a lot to do, and it seems quite expensive and maybe complex and out of the reach of small to medium-sized businesses. Is this Google pay-per-click only really for big businesses? Absolutely not, no. We've got, I think, probably about 60% of our customers are small-sized businesses. What do you mean by small? I mean, like, typically from even plumbers, whereby, you know, they're sole traders, right? So they've got 1 or 2 people within their business, up to, like, you know, the range just carries on. But it works incredibly well for small businesses, because with Google you can control how much you pay per day. So you can have a daily limit, and the daily limit could be, you know, even as low as like £10 if you want to. You can say to Google, hey, I want my ads to be shown on Google. So if somebody's looking for my products or services, I'm willing to pay you up to £10 a day, right? Or £5 a day, or £100 a day, whatever you want. So you've got really tight control of your budget, and you've got to remember that you will only pay if somebody searches for your keywords, they're in your location, they've read your ad, and they find that, yes, this person can provide me with the service. So your chance of converting that click into a customer is very high, because it's got high intent. That's tremendous. It seems very straightforward. Can a business do this themselves? Can they set up a Google account and start advertising? Typically, yes, they can. Anyone can go onto the Google page and sign up and create an account, and their ads can start running very quickly. However, I always say that, you know, whatever your area of expertise is, right? If you're a dentist, or you're a plumber, or you're a therapist, it's taken you years to get to that level of experience. You haven't just read a textbook or just read, you know, the dummy's guide to how to do this very quickly. It's taken a lot of experience you're applying. Google's the same. So you can now spend your time on relearning Google and going through all the motions that experts have been through, or just give it to an expert to manage on your behalf. So they've done all the learning, they've done all the experimenting, and they do this on a day-by-day basis. So they know what to do, what are the good things to do, and what are the mistakes to avoid. And how do those experts work? Do they work on the same basis as Google on a per click or results basis, or is it a different way?
So what the experts would do is, like at our agency, we your budget we give to Google, right? So you put your details into Google, and then we're just managing that budget for you, right? And then at the same time, what we're doing is that we're managing the account for you. So we'll give you advice and guidance as to what are the best types of campaigns to set up, what are the best types of keywords to set up, what are the locations that you should be targeting, in order to help you start generating leads and inquiries at a much faster pace. Yeah. So basically, we're helping to fast track your success by using Google Ads, by using our in-house expertise and the tools that we use to monitor what's working, what's not working.
And we've gone through a huge change in our culture, in our history. The pandemic has changed life in so many ways. We can't really begin to talk about all the different ways that the pandemic has changed the way we live. What changes has it brought to online business? Well,
now, I mean, there are so many new businesses being set up. Before the pandemic, a lot of people were saying that, hey, you know, we've got to have large offices and we've got to have our staff sitting right next to each other. We've got to physically be able to see them. And even those senior people or management who weren't in favour of that, because of the pandemic, they've been forced to allow people to remote work. Now, by people remote working, obviously a lot of businesses have gone online now, even those businesses that only had bricks and mortar shops. And now they've had to go online. So you'll see that the online industry is now booming because...
Is it going to go back, do you think? Will it go back again to people going in person to shops and businesses?
In my personal view, I don't think it'll ever go back to what it used to be, because people have now discovered this new online world, and even the people that were not a fan of it, they've discovered, hey, we can now operate our business, we can grow our business from home, really. We don't need physical offices necessarily. In some businesses you do, like if you're a dentist, for example, of course you need physical premises. But so there's that education part that we've gone through now, where people have understood that, hey, there's a whole world you can target just by being online. And if you are online, you're not just targeting your location, you're targeting, like in our case, the whole of UK or the whole of the world. Yeah, so a lot of businesses are changing, and a lot of people are now investing in digital marketing because before this, a lot of people thought it was just something that we might do, but now it's like you have to do it because the competition nature is also growing.
Absolutely. And so is it important, do you think every business has to be on Google? Do you think every business should have this as part of their strategy?
I think every business needs to have a marketing strategy, okay? So whether that marketing strategy is Google, or whether it's Facebook, or whether it's looking at social media, Facebook ads, they need to have a digital marketing strategy. And without having a digital marketing strategy, they're not really going to thrive. So what's important to do is to work out, you know, where do your potential customers go to when they're looking to resolve an issue, when they want to find the answer to something. If it's, say, education, you might say, well, that's YouTube, because people go to YouTube to learn something, okay? And YouTube, incidentally, is also owned by Google, okay? But if they're looking for a product or service, if you ask anyone, you know, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go to Google to look for a product or service. Yeah, you don't really go to Facebook to look for a product or service, for example. Yeah.
So would you use, is there a difference between Facebook ads and Google ads? Is there a difference? Would you use both or one or the other?
Okay, so what I would say is, in digital marketing, I don't think you should narrow down to just one channel. Right, so there are lots of channels out there now. So it's important to have multiple channels going on. So you're getting leads, traffic, and inquiries coming from various channels. So one channel does not necessarily replace another. So Facebook would not replace Google. Now, on a technical basis, Google works on intent, so it uses keywords. So people are going to Google and typing in a keyword, right, of what they're looking for. Whereas on Facebook, it's like interest-driven. So people don't go Facebook to search for something, but when we're setting up a Facebook advertising campaign, we target people's interests. And by targeting interest, we show them an ad to say, hey, if this person's interest is in, I don't know, dentistry, for example, he might like this ad, in which case we're going to, if he clicks on it, he'll be taken to our website. So it's a different way of working. Yeah. So one doesn't...
Which is better, which is more effective, which brings better results.
It varies from industry to industry, right? And again, it's important that you don't just rely on one, because if you're using Facebook, for example, right, you might work out, okay, we're spending X amount and we're getting Y% return, so therefore our cost per acquisition or our cost per lead is a certain amount. Now you'll have the same metrics for Google, okay? So if you do take one out and replace it with the other, that audience that would otherwise gone to Facebook, you're losing, or the audience that would have gone to Google, you're losing. So it's a combination of understanding that each marketing platform is going to have different results. They're not going to compensate one another, they're just going to be different. What you've got to remember with Google, is that it's got a high intent. In other words, people go there to search for a product or service. They need it right now. And if you're there, then you've got a chance of winning the business. Whereas
Google is effectively a directory.
It is.
It's not really a socializing platform. The search engine, people are going because they want to find something.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And it is a very complicated platform to be using on a technical basis. There's so many things that you can do with it. Like earlier, I mentioned to you YouTube. Okay, so you can control ads that appear on YouTube through Google. You can, if you've got an e-commerce website whereby you're selling a product, you can tell Google that, hey, I want my images of my product to be displayed on the Google page when somebody looks for my products or services. Yeah, you can do display ads, so that with display ads, you can design an ad, and let's say, again, I'll use the example of a dentist. If somebody goes to another website and it's a blog talking about dentists, for example, you can have your ad shown on that page so that people, because you know that whoever's reading that page is interested in dentistry, and you can be more specific, like, for example, if they're into Invisalign, so you can put an Invisalign ad on there. You see what I mean? So you're using that platform.
So it does seem, going back to what you said earlier about businesses doing it themselves, there's quite a bit to it, and it seems to be getting into layers of complexity now, and it seems to be interconnected. You can't just do one thing in isolation. You've got to do several things together.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it's really important you understand the basic fundamentals of digital marketing, because if you don't, what's going to happen is that when you hire someone, then you don't know whether they're giving you the right amount of information. Yeah, like, for example, one of the most common issues that we identify when we take on customers in our agency is that people haven't installed tracking into their website. So they're sending all this traffic to websites, but there's no real way of measuring, okay, not just how much traffic we're getting, but how many of them are converting into a lead or a sale. Because as a business owner, that's ultimately what you want to know. You want to know how much you've spent and what revenue you've made. Yeah, so it's only by understanding the basics of digital marketing can you start asking the right questions. Absolutely.
And is that what you do? You help businesses to get more business, to get on top of Google?
Absolutely. So that's exactly what we do. We help people to drive more leads, more sales, and also develop more strategies in terms of, it's not just, okay.
But it seems to me, AJ, to be quite endless, really. This seems like a piece of string which is never going to stop, and some people might say, well, we haven't got the time or the budget for this. And I think once you start on online marketing, it's endless, the budget, and what you need to do, it just goes on and on.
Well, the opportunities are endless, okay? And again, it depends on the strategies that you're using. See, one key element is that with Google Ads, you're getting there faster. If you want to go there at a little bit of a slower pace, you can use organic, you can use SEO. So it's a more longer term strategy. Okay, if you got
What's SEO?
SEO stands for search engine optimization. So everybody wants to be on the first page of Google. Okay, now if you don't want to use Google Ads to be at the top of the page, you can be in the organic section, which is at the bottom of the page or middle to bottom, whereby if somebody clicks on there 100 times or 1,000,000 times, you won't pay anyone anything. So then the question is, hey, why doesn't everyone go on organic? And the reason is it takes a long time. It takes a long time to get onto the first page of Google, and then it takes an even longer time to get towards the top of the organic section. So if you've set up a new business, do you really want to wait 6 months?
Could be months or years?
It could be either. So it could take months and months for less competitive keywords, but if you've got a competitive keyword, it could take years. So that's why people don't necessarily want to wait so long, and they want a result right now.
Yes. And are there some things that people can do to help get to the top of the Google page? What are some basics they can do themselves in terms of organic search?
Yeah, there certainly is. I mean, one of the key things that people can do in order to get to the top of the page, or at least help with their SEO, is to just produce regular, good quality content. And I'm not saying just content for the sake of content. I mean proper good quality content whereby people are going to come onto your website and they're going to find that content of value. Because one of the factors that Google looks at when it comes to organic ranking is, okay, you've got these people onto your website because you've got, say, a blog there or a piece of content, but what are they doing when they're on your website? Are they going straight off again? And if they're going straight off your website again, it's an indication that it's a poor quality content. Whereas if they stay on your website, it's a good sign because Google wants you to stay on the website. So then Google are going to start rewarding you for staying on the website. If they find that, you know, they're looking around more pages, again, you're giving Google indications that you've got good quality content here.
And so it seems quite complex. There's a lot involved, and you can help people. You can help small businesses. Is it expensive? Will they have to spend thousands and thousands? A lot of small businesses, especially in the particular current climate with inflation running wild, are cutting back. And the first thing that companies look to reduce is their marketing cost. Yeah.
That's normally because of a lack of understanding of what marketing really does. Because ultimately, if businesses are not putting themselves out there, they're not going to get leads, sales, and inquiries. Yeah. So in some cases, yes, marketing is the first budget to be slashed. But when it does, then people realise that, hey, we're not getting any more sales. So what do? They go back to their agencies and say, hey, can we have some more traffic? Because we need to grow our business. Yeah. And that's what we help people with.
It seems like a flywheel effect, i.e. people who started early and put a lot of budget into it, they're away now and they're getting bigger and bigger and growing faster and faster, a bit like Google. Is it too late now for a lot of businesses to join this Google rat race?
Absolutely not, no. This is probably the right time to be joining, because now everyone's joining onto this. And again, it depends on the strategy that you want, yeah? So there's organic, which takes a long time, and there's paid, which you can get your website listed at the top of the Google page within 24 hours even, yeah? So it's never too late, but, you know, again, if you come with a solid strategy, it's not just about Google or Google Ads. You know, there's so many other ways, like creating funnels, social media, and so many other ways that we can work with people to say, what is your budget, and let's come up with a strategy to suit that budget.
And what's the latest? Because Google keeps changing their formulas, their artificial intelligence, their bots and so on. What's the latest you can share with us about Google ad changes?
Well, Google Ads is now using something called machine learning. So back in the days, everything used to be very manual. So we used to have to target our end customers very manually, whereas now we can use like something called smart bidding, whereby we're giving a lot of control to Google to say, even though we're telling you we want traffic for these keywords, Google will help you to identify who your potential customers are and serve your ads to those people who are more likely to convert into a sale or an inquiry.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
Ajay, thank you very much. There's an awful lot to talk about in terms of online marketing.
Yeah.
We hope to make this a regular feature and ask you to join us more often and share your thoughts, and in particular the latest news and changes in the online marketing world. Thank you very much for joining us on SIKH Channel, and we wish you well. And if anybody wants to get in touch, you can call the SIKH Channel contact centre or email us if you want to find out more, or if you want to contact AJ, or if you have a question, please do email at info@sikhchannel.tv. Thank you very much, AJ, for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa,
Waheguru Ji Ki
Waheguru
Fateh.
Ji Ki Fateh.